Politicians are elected to represent us. They are here to protect our interests over their political interests. Refusal to try to work toward compromise is putting politics over people. Now, President Trump has been at the White House virtually every day, working and waiting, and trying to make a deal, bending, compromising, and offering solutions. They not only disrespect him, they sometimes don't even show up. They've refused his every overture, put a stake in the ground, proving that politics are more important than putting people back to work. And as 800,000 federal employees face the loss of a second paycheck this Tuesday, the Democrats disregard their distress by not negotiating to end the partial government shutdown. And that, my friends, is a problem. But it's even bigger. They refuse to negotiate for people who live paycheck to paycheck. They don't consider Americans whose lives, safety, economy, and social service agencies are drained by these uninvited illegals. Today, the president offered yet another compromise to reopen the government. There will be no concrete wall, only steel slat barriers, $5.7 billion for it, $805 million for drug detection technology, $800 million for humanitarian assistance, almost 3,000 additional Border Patrol agents, 75 new immigration judges, and a 3-year extension for TPS and DACA. The president described in clear and direct language the human crises, ranging from 300 of our children dying every week from heroin, 90% of which comes through those porous Mexican borders. Now young people can seek asylum in their country without traveling with those dangerous human traffickers and coyotes. He talked about what many of us in law enforcement already knew, that parents give their daughters birth control pills, knowing full well that their daughters will be raped along this dangerous journey. And the knee-jerk reactions are in. Nancy Pelosi calls the president's proposals unacceptable and said, what's original in his proposal is not good, and what's good in his proposal is not original. Chuck Schumer called it one-sided and ineffective. No surprise. Democrats, demon rats, are dug into the theater of lies and hate, casting Donald Trump as evil while casting themselves as angels, supported by a mainstream media intent on publishing any anti-Trump story, however baseless or absurd. Journalistic standards be damned. The theater was actually brought to the absurd when Nancy Pelosi sent a letter to the president saying it was too dangerous for him to give the State of the Union speech, saying she didn't want him telling his lies and distortions in the House. A typical example, by the way, of what the left is doing in general. Shut down the voice of the president. Shut down law and order. Shut down security at our border. Turns out, Nancy, you never even spoke to security. In fact, every day Congress is in session, nobody's been shut down for lack of security. Admit it. You made it up to shut them down. But never in the history of this great nation has a speaker refused the president the opportunity to give a State of the Union address. And of course, not one to be cowed. The president pulls you off a government bus 30 minutes before your trip to Europe. Nancy, what the hell were you doing boarding a bus with your Democrat cronies on the way to Brussels to meet with NATO leaders? There's a partial government shutdown. We don't need you in Brussels. How do you negotiate your way out of a stalemate while you're on a 7-day European excursion that we, the taxpayers, pay for? You got some chutzpah, lady. And what were you going to do? Have another few parties on our dime and badmouth the president to those who prefer that we foot their NATO bill too? And then you and your band of friendlies off then to Afghanistan to find out what's going on from the troops on the ground. Really? You think some soldier is going to saunter up and whisper in your ear to give you the real scoop when his bosses at the Pentagon would be happy to do so in Washington? Or is it that you think the troops are dying to see you? Send them a video, Nancy, and thank them. And by the way, is this how you reinforce your power base? By approving trips? Are you the premier congressional junket organizer? But then again, you've never been one to sacrifice. How are you? How about instead of the trips, you escrow that money for federal employees? What's that? You'd rather not? Because polling blames Trump for the shutdown, and you're good with that. By the way, Nancy, so is he. He's wearing his big boy pants, and he offered to take the burden just to get it done. How about, since you're in charge of all spending bills, Nancy, you forego your check until this is over? Man up like the federal employees going through the shutdown. Donate congressional salaries to those who won't get one. After all, reports are you and your husband are worth over $100 million. How'd you make that money, Nancy? How long is it that you've been in Congress? Now, President Trump, he isn't taking a check. He's donated his salary since day one to a number of federal agencies. And Nancy, this is just the two of us here talking. Admit it. You're big donors in California. They want illegals to pick grapes. Even Cesar Chavez, you're old enough to remember him, fought tooth and nail to stop illegal immigrants, to protect legal immigrants and the farm workers. It's all theater, folks. The president, they say, is a fearmonger. This is a manufactured crisis. Say that to the face of an angel mom whose child was murdered or massacred by illegal immigrants. You have kids, Nancy? You do, don't you? And why did you approve securing the border like so many of your Democrat cronies in 2006 and 13 under the Secure Fence Act? But not this? The obvious answer, because Donald Trump wants it. Instead, your path is to disrespect Americans and instead respect those who violate our laws, while you and your ilk raise pictures of furloughed federal employees when you won't meet with the angel moms who come to your office with pictures of American children killed by illegals. So let me see if I understand this. An American mother shows a picture of a child murdered by an illegal. And Chuck Schumer and his gang, they come out and show pictures of federal employees. Is there a moral equivalency here? Are you folks schizo? Are you working for Americans or illegals? Or is it that you just don't give a damn? You vacation in Hawaii. Your buddies vacation with lobbyists in Puerto Rico during the shutdown. And you plan a jaunt to Europe while federal employees are trying to save every dollar to buy groceries. Admit it, you don't give a damn. Nancy, you're a hypocrite, a political operative. Your mantra, destroy the President of the United States. To hell with the tax-paying, hard-working Americans. Let them eat cake. I've got a junket to go on, an ego to assuage, and an electorate to ignore. And Nancy, if you're too afraid to take a commercial flight, there are alternate ways to fly. Check this one out. It's tailor-made for you. And that's my open. If you like my opening statement, you like my new book, New York Times #1 bestseller, Liars, Leakers, Liberals, The Case Against the Anti-Trump Conspiracy. Joining me now with the latest on all the breaking
I thank you. God bless you, and may he continue to bless the nation that has showered this land with love for more than 2 centuries. Thank you all. God bless you all.